So the last update brought buffs to many of the old curse techniques, including the much needed infinity buff, and even a buff to the recently already buffed shrine curse technique. In this video, I will be going through the balance changes for each curse technique, and we'll find out whether each curse technique is now worth it to use, and if they can compete with the current meta curse techniques. So this is my current build over here. I'll be rocking the sorcery heavenly restriction, as well as the summer blade for my second curse technique slot. For the emblem, I'll be using summer emblem 2, and for the gear, I'll be using triple totality, as this is the best one currently. And for my accessory, I'll be using divine general's wings, and the ailment on my summer blade is water prison. So I'll be keeping all of this right here constant throughout my testing, so that I can keep it as fair as possible for every curse technique. So first up, we have Shrine. The 4 main skills are buffed by 33% damage. We will be using Sukuna's mark for that 100% extra damage. For the sake of comparison, I will take the average damage of all the skills to see how hard the curse technique hits. I will also consider the area of effect when deciding how good the CT is. I will also take into account the cooldown of the skills as it affects the DPS of the curse technique. Now sit back and watch the calculations being done. So excluding the domain, our average damage for each skill will be 747 million. On top of that, there will be additional damage from the domain slashes as well as the domain buffs. So purely based on damage, Shrine is one of the best curse technique right now. So let's talk about the AoE. Shrine has one of the best AoE out of all curse techniques in the game, so for this, Shrine is definitely going to be one of the best buff techniques in this update. And for that, I'll be giving it an S tier, as it is one of, if not the best special grade technique right now. So next up, we have Limitless. The buffs to this technique is 100% buff to every single one of its skills. For this curse technique, we'll be using Infinity Aura rather than Sukuna's mark, as it gives 100% more damage to the Limitless technique. This one should be interesting as the skill damages literally double. So let's take a look at the damages of the skills. So the average damage per skill that we have calculated is 838 million damage. However, I must say that our blue skills have caused the passive to do a little bit of extra damage. So the real average damage is actually slightly lesser and probably around the range of where Shrine was. So on top of this damage, we also have a domain that buffs our damage, so take note of that. So similar to Shrine, Infinity has a really good AoE, but it scores an even higher point in the utility as its blue skill pulls in enemies for greater crowd control. Due to how much damage Infinity does now, I will put it in S tier. However, I will rank it below Shrine, as the passive of Shrine, which is the Sukuna's mark, is just way better than Limitless due to the damage over time as well as the world cutting slash. On top of that, the domain of Shrine does way more damage because of the Caesar slashes, and it's also an open domain which makes it easier to use. Hence, I will put Limitless in S tier but right below Shrine. These are the buffs to Beast Ember. Similar to Infinity, it now does double the damage. So for the rest of the curse techniques, I will be using Bloodthirst as they do not have any specific passive that I can test with. So Bloodthirst will be the best to increase the base damage of the skills. So here is how much damage Beast Ember does on its skills. And yes, I will be testing this in the Awakened form as the Awakened form is almost 100% uptime. So the average damage per skill calculated was 348 million, which is the lowest that we got so far. However, we have to consider that this curse technique has very low cooldowns, with the highest cooldown being only 7 seconds. Hence, the DPS is obtained from spamming the skills, so the average damage done is actually more. It is still however underwhelming compared to Shrine and Limitless, so for that I will put it in B tier. These are the buffs for Cursed Energy Discharge. It is basically just plus 50% for every single skill. As per usual, I will be using the mode to test the skill. So now let's look at the amount of damage that this curse technique can give. So the average damage per skill we got is 510 million. However, the downside of this curse technique is that you do not have 100% uptime on the Awakened form. But because it does more damage than Beast Ember, I will have to put it above Beast Ember in B tier. The buffs are 50% damage to all skills. So the average damage per skill came out to be 376 million damage, which is only slightly above Beast Ember at 348 million damage. So I will put it right below Beast Ember in B tier. Projection Sorcery got plus 50% damage on all its skills. Not including the ultimate, our average damage comes out to only 288 million damage. However, if we include the ultimate, that will go up to 481 million damage. This curse technique still has horrible AoE as well as not very good damage, so I will have to put it as the first C tier. These are the buffs for Judgment. The bottom two stats are probably the most important ones as they buff the Executioner Sword, which is a large part of the Judgment kit. Anyways, let's take a look at the damage of the skills now. So the average damage per skill that we have calculated is 278 million, which is the lowest so far. However, I will still put Judgment in A solely because of the Executioner Sword. This is because Executioner Sword uses percentage damage to do damage. This means that no matter what your level is, you do a fixed amount of damage to bosses. This makes it easier for lower level people to clear bosses easily. Hence, I will rate it at the A because of how good it is for lower level people as well as people who are struggling to defeat bosses. So yeah guys, this is the final tier list of all the buffed curse techniques in the recent update. To answer the question whether any of these curse techniques can hold themselves up to the meta curse techniques such as 10 Shadows, I will say that Shrine might be able to come close because of the multiple buffs that it had as well as its broken passive. However, for the rest, they will not come close unless they have another big buff or maybe a V2